Welcome to Conversations with Healers, a podcast and video interview series that features intimate, soulful, and cozy conversations with self-healers and healers. Healer to healer, we dive into all aspects of self-healing and healing, and being and becoming a healer. I am Damla. I am a healer and the host of this podcast, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. If you are new to this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe so that you can be aware of new episodes. I also invite you to visit adropofom.com, adropofom.com, where I share a lot of free resources for self-healing and healing, and you can take a free quiz to find out what your energetic wounds are and how they may show up in your life. Discovering what your wounds are is the first step in healing them. I hope you enjoy this episode. There is one more thing I would like to share with you before you listen to this episode. I created a wonderful container to help you heal your energetic wounds and activate the infinite light and potential of your inner children. It is a crystal energy healing membership called Chakra Bliss Vault. Every month, you will receive 3 new crystal healing sessions. Plus, you'll immediately have access to my entire energy healing recording library when you sign up. The membership is really affordable and will continue to be so. You can find out more about it at adropofom.com, adropofom.com. I invite you to make healing your energetic wounds and connecting with your inner children a priority and invest in your well-being by becoming a Chakra Bliss Vault member. Hello, everyone. This is Damla with a drop of Welcome to Conversations with Healers. And today I'm so excited to have you meet 2 very, very wonderful healers and mothers. So I have with me Victoria Nielsen and Tiffany Wilkes. And they are spirit mamas together, but individually they're healers. Tiffany is a Reiki Master, certified sound healer, and a spiritual coach. And Victoria is an Akashic Records Reader, breathwork and inner voice facilitator, and an intuitive energy healer. Welcome to you both. How are you today?
Thank you. It's such a mouthful, right? We're all the things in one.
Yes. Well,
We're so grateful to be here.
Yes, thanks for having us. Really a blessing to be here today.
Beautiful to have you here. And I'm especially excited to dive into your stories. So I'd love to hear from both of you individually first, like what led you to what you're doing now? Was your, like, in brief brushstrokes, your healing and becoming a healer story? And then I'm dying to know about your story together. So let's start with you, Tiffany, if you want to tell us about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany, one half of Spirit Mamas. I am a mom to 2 boys, Logan and Lennox, who are 9 years apart. And like you said, I am a Reiki Master, sound healer, intuitive, spiritual counsel, all the amazing things. And for me, my spiritual journey really started as a child. I've pretty much been connected to the spiritual realm since I can remember, around the age of 8. I'm 41 now, so it's been a long time. But I ran away from that intuition that I had and just like connecting on that realm because I grew up in the church. It was something you just really didn't talk about. You kind of ran away from it. But thank God for my father and my grandmother my paternal grandmother, who did little things like would read my palm or remind me to write down my dreams and things of that sort. And so fast forward, when I had Logan, who's my oldest, he's 12 now, probably around the age of 5 is where I feel like I went through my spiritual awakening, where I really started to lean into the fact that I was a healer. And I really started to ask myself, what is my true purpose here on earth this lifetime? And through a lot of I don't know how, it was a roller coaster of emotions, trying to figure out how to truly embrace who I am. I decided to learn more about Reiki, really tap into my intuition when it came to speaking to others, interpreting dreams, things of that nature. And so now I'm here, and I'm loving it, and I feel like I've burst out the closet. I'm no more a hidden spiritual person. It's like if you run into me, I may have a woo conversation with you, and that's who I am. So I'll let Victoria go, and it's interesting how our stories kind of merge together, but yeah.
Exactly. I feel like we have that thread of momhood, right? So hi guys, I'm Victoria, the other half of Spirit Mamas. I really started my journey in 2018 after a miscarriage. I would never have said I was spiritual or I was a healer before then. I really started to question kind of everything that was happening in my life, and I found the Akashic Records. And for those that don't know, the Akashic Records are really just an energetic frequency that anyone can tap into at any time. And I found a lot of healing and empowerment from being able to tune inward and tune into my spirit team to just continue to know that I was supported and guided and things were going to work out. And I truly believe that actually that soul is coming through now. I'm 33 weeks pregnant. By the time this airs, my baby will be 6 months, which will be amazing. My second. And I think that was the catalyst that I was meant to have to send me on this path. So from there, I dove in feet first. And, once I had my first son, Sebastian, I really started to kind of, like Tiffany said, question like everything that I had ever known. I always thought I was going to have a corporate job. I thought that my life was going to look a certain way. And slowly I've been peeling back the layers and coming home to myself and who I really am and what my spirit really wants. And it's been just so beautiful that every modality that I find, I then share with others, and especially moms, because I feel like, we've got so much pressure on us, and it's so important to do our own healing so that we're not passing that healing on to our children. And so I feel like as Tiffany and I grow on our spiritual path and our spiritual journeys, our beautiful little business Spirit Mamas grows with us.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm hearing so many common threads with my story and yours. And my story is I became a mom in 2012, and I had a corporate mind, and then I had a yogic mind, and then I realized I need a vibrational mind. I need to look into my inner children, inner wounds. And my daughter was a catalyst in that. So I'm hearing that in your story, Victoria. And then Tiffany, your story to me is like with your baby coming to an age where you probably got in touch with your gifts. It's almost like they were reminding you what and who you were at that time, and you slowly grew into that.
Yeah, that's it. You hit it right on the nail. Like I ran away from it for so long, but as you know, as a mom, like it's like the veil is let down and you're like, oh, I have to teach this little person, and how do I want them to be raised? And for me, I wanted them to flow freely through life and not forget who they are, not forget the power that they hold within. And I felt like, and when he was little, Logan was little, we would take him to church, and I just felt like we were in a box. And I had expanded outside of that box, and I wanted to make sure he could also do that as well. And so I started kind of questioning things. But yes, he was definitely a reminder. I was told like he was sent here to remind you of who you are, and so to listen. And so I think, as being a mom and looking at these little humans and these little spirits that we have been blessed to raise, they are also here to help us. And so it's really about listening and seeing what they have to say as well, because they'll teach us life lessons even when they're so small. So yeah, you hit it right on the nail.
Yeah. And they continue to through their lifetime. My daughter was, I said something, she's 10. So I said something to her the other day. And then she said, Mom, I'd rather you, like I was sitting on the couch, she was in the kitchen somewhere, and I may have yelled what I thought was a good instruction. And she goes, Mom, next time, can you please walk up to me and look me in the eyes to say that? And I'm like, okay, yep, that tracks.
Yeah, I love when they're like, Mom, it's my 12-year-old. He's like, Mom, do you know how you just said that to me? And I'm like, but growing up, my mom would be like, it doesn't matter how I said it to you. I said it to you. And I'm like, let me say that again. I should show you the same respect that I would want you to show me. So I love that your daughter's like, hey, look me in my eyes.
And yeah, they continue to do that, definitely. I would love to know how Spirit Mamas was born. How did you find each other? How did you decide to do this thing? Victoria, maybe first from you and then from you, Tiffany. I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, I think it was all divine timing. I had just had my first son, Sebastian, and Tiffany and I had known each other from a previous job in corporate working in marketing. And Tiffany was starting to come out of the closet then. People knew they could come to her to interpret dreams. I was still very much like, absolutely not. Tiffany would tell me all the time that I was intuitive. And I was like, no, like not me. And we stayed in touch because her son, Lennox, is around the same age as Sebastian is. And I was breastfeeding him, and we were just having a conversation about momhood and how it was a revelation to me how much it was opening me, that the portal of birth was transforming me so much. And I was like, I want to help people. I don't know how, I don't know what that looks like. I know you feel this call too. And Tiffany was like, what if we just called ourselves Spirit Mamas? And so right there, as I'm feeding the baby, I like take out my phone, Google it. No one has the name Spirit Mamas. To buy it, was an angel number. And I got full body chills. And I was like, okay, this is the universe's way of saying we need to do this. And we started in the middle of COVID. So it was all virtual. And at first, we were both just offering our own one-on-one healing services. So people could come to Tiffany for Reiki, people could come to me for Akashic Records readings. And slowly we decided, what, we both love working with the moon. Like there's got to be something here about maybe hosting full moon circles. And it just clicked after that that's our magic, is bringing women together in sacred ceremony to raise one another up, but also to release and to rise together. And that there's so much more power and so much more healing when we all do it together. And that's evolved into various containers that we hold now, like healing the mother wound or healing the sacred feminine, where we kind of put our own mix of mystical and practical rituals together to create magic. So all of our circles that you come to, I feel like they're not like anything else out there, because they are an infusion of what we love to do. So you're always going to dance with us. You're always, going to journal, you're going to reflect, you're going to heal. We may use certain modalities like Reiki or healing with the divine feminine in a circle, but you're always going to leave brighter and lighter than when you came to us. And that's always our goal, right? Is just to live life joyously. It's too short, and spirituality doesn't have to be so serious. And so I think that's the fun that we bring to it. And we really we enjoy ourselves a lot. And now that we're kind of starting to emerge from this like post-COVID world, we are hosting in-person retreats and really like finding that there is magic in person too. And so kind of like I said earlier, as we evolve, Spirit Mamas is evolving, but it's been such a beautiful journey that I think when we started, Tiff, I never even would have imagined that this is where we would be, like sharing our story on podcasts and helping dozens of women from across the globe. Like it still freaks me out in a good way that we have women from like New Zealand and Australia that like join our circles and our community. And I'm like, how did you even find us? And they're like, I don't know. Or, oh, I just felt called to join. And that to me is like the highest form of a compliment, because I'm like, okay, our vibration just reached you. It reached exactly who it was meant to, and you found us. And it's just, I'm in awe. It's so freaking beautiful. What would you add to that, Tiff?
I mean, you said it all. I think one thing that just like popped in my head, and I told you I've been getting a lot of downloads this week. It's like, I think when society thinks about a mom in general, you think about this caretaker who's pretty serious, right? Because you got to take care of these humans. And one thing about Victoria and I is we definitely allow and remind our followers to tap into their inner child. Like, we are so much fun and it comes natural. Like, our energy together just brings out our inner child. And it reminds us, like, spirituality doesn't have to be so serious. Mamahood doesn't have to be so serious. Like, our kids see us dancing around, they see us laughing. My kids probably think I'm crazy, but I still feel like a child. And I know I'm like hitting middle age, right? But like, I still feel like youthful. And I think as you go through life, especially as a mom, because we put a lot on our shoulders as moms, as humans in general, right? But like, it's remembering to tap into that inner child, and like the magic that we are bringing to our community starts there, which is so amazing to know. Like, we're going to dance, you're going to laugh, we're going to have serious conversations, but like, it's still going to be like a release of like youth at the end of the day. And I think, you know, if you just go through our Instagram page and just, if you've ever been in a circle with us, like, it's just this youthfulness that comes naturally when Victoria and I get together. But I mean, Victoria, you nailed it. Like, I would never have thought we would have been here. I don't know what I thought it was going to be when we first were like, okay, let's just create this community, not even a community at the time. Let's just create this business called Spirit Mamas. I don't really know what it's going to be, but it's turned into this beautiful thing. And I'm just so thankful for that. Thankful for you, Victoria.
Yeah. And I agree with what you're describing, like your Instagram page, especially. That's what drew me to you. Like, you make these really funny but on point short videos, like reels, which take the motherhood concepts, and I'm like, yeah, true, that too. So thank you.
I'm so glad it resonates. Sometimes I'm like, we're just being idiots on the internet, and it's fine.
You know what? I feel like we need that as spiritual people and as mothers. It's needed. So keep doing what you're doing. And which brings me to why help mothers?
Oh man. No, Tiff, you go.
So it's funny. When we first started, you know, I knew we were going to do this, like, let's call it Spirit Mamas. And I think, you know, we knew we wanted to help moms. And my thing was too, like, okay, because I had an older child, right? Like, Logan at the time was 10, I think. And I was like, I was going through, and as you know, Damla, like, it's like, as they get older, you're like, they're hit with peer pressure. They're hit with all the things of school. And as a mom, you don't know what to say, but you just have to listen to your intuition, right? And so I think I wanted to remind my son of his power, but I needed to remind myself of the power that I have and how I could teach him. And so as we work with the moms who come to us, it's really about reminding them that even though you have Google at your fingertips, like, you already know the answer. Like, you can literally stop, take a breath, and get the answer that you need because you already know it. And if you don't, we've built this community where we can have these open conversations with other moms to be like, hey, like, for instance, like, my son will be 3 in August. He's just now almost potty trained, right? Whereas, and each time it's different. Like, Logan was totally different, but then Victoria, like, I would go to her and she is first time mom. And I'm like, so what are you doing? And so you have these open conversations, realizing that, you know, everybody has a little bit of knowledge that they can give you, but then it's also, okay, what Victoria said, let me try it. But then I'm also still tapping into myself to say, okay, does this work for my child? Does this work for my household? And also reminding moms that, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. So, we wanted to make sure we were their spiritual cheerleaders, that we were reminding them of all of the different magical things that lie within and around that can help them be a better mom. And I think we've done a really good job at doing that. Like, we offer so many different things, and we've ran into so many different people, even women who are not physically moms, right? But they are mothering something. They may be mothering a business. They may be mothering some type of project at work, but they still are drawn to us because I feel like everything that we're teaching really can like apply to each person. And it's just really remembering the magic that you hold within, and that you already have the answer, but that you can't give from an empty cup. So whether that's, coming for a Reiki session, or joining us for a quick dance in our full moon circle, taking an inner, like a breath work class with Victoria, or like just one of her healing journeys that she offers the women that come to her. Like, all of these things are reminders that, you are special, you have the power, and that you can be the best mama that you can be. But first, you have to give back to yourself. What did I forget, Victoria?
No, that was beautiful. I think it's funny. I was sitting here thinking selfishly, I serve moms because that's the point at my life that I was in. I think when we first started, we were very broad. We were like, any woman, and we still are. Of course, we're never going to turn anyone away. But I think there was others that saw it in us before we did, that was like, no, you guys, moms, like, moms need you. I need you. And I think we shied away from it because we didn't want to alienate anyone. And we realized, actually, when we really leaned into that, it gave us permission, like Tiffany said, to mother everyone. And, whether or not you physically have a child, you can and do mother something in your life. Women have such mothering creative energy in their womb space, and anything that you want to create and birth into the world, we're here to help you do that. And so I think I lean towards it because that was really where I was at as a new mom. I was the one that was Googling everything, that was giving myself such anxiety, until I was like, wait a minute, I have these tools that I can use at my disposal to tap back into me and know that I have the right answer for my family, because the answers that are right for me are different than they are for you, Damla, that are for you, Tiffany, that are for any of the listeners. And I think that's something that we've brought to our community is, we're not gurus. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to just hold space for you, show you the tools that have worked for us. And then, hey, you get to mix and match them in whatever way that you want to. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that, right? That it's not this dogma of, oh, you have to meditate every day and you have to do this and you have to do that. No, don't meditate at all if you don't want to. If you want to go walk in nature, if you want to go journal, like, whatever your spirit is calling in that moment, it's just allowing you to be open enough to listen. And I think we hold space, but our community holds space for us too. And that's the really beautiful part of this, is that we're still healing, we're still growing, and we're doing it right alongside all of the women that we help. They're helping us just as much. And I think that beautiful energy exchange is really unique, because I'm no better than you. I don't know more than you do. Maybe in this subject, I know a little bit more, but you know more about this other thing that I know nothing about. And how can we collaborate and share versus seeing each other as competition, I think is at the core of what we do here at Spirit Mamas.
Yeah, well, I love all of that. As you're speaking, what I remembered was, someone asked me recently if I had infinite funds, what I would do. And I said I would support the mothers, because when you support the mothers, you're supporting all the kids. You're supporting the nourishment, not just physical, emotional nourishment of the next generation, and the growth of consciousness in the next generation. And then that next generation, when supported, can support the next generation. And that's how we're going to grow as a species. That's how I feel. But I do find your thing unique. The fact that it's, it's the two of you, and it's two women. And someone looking from outside might say, how does it even work? Like, two people running a business. or two moms holding space. And I'm sure it has its challenges, but you guys make it look easy. So tell me about that, your friendship and working relationship. And I'm also fascinated by the fact that you started this in COVID world. So I'm assuming it was all through online interaction, and I'm wondering how it is now. And so yeah, how is it sharing a business and like you literally have one website, you're listing both your individual services there, and you have a membership and some programs that you run together in person or online. How does it work? What's the secret sauce?
It's beautiful. No, seriously, it is. I mean, anybody who owns a business knows that you have the nuances of a business, right? So before we got on this call, every Friday, me and Victoria, we talk for an hour about business stuff. Like, what are the week? Like, what are the things we need to focus on? But what I will say is that we were brought together by spirit. Like, it is not a coincidence that we are here holding this space for women. And I think so it's funny, Victoria mentioned, like, at first we were offering our individual services, which we still do. And now we have things that we do together, like our in-person retreats that we hold. We have our full moon circles every month. We have our beautiful containers like Healing the Mother Wound. But the beauty of it is when me and Victoria realized, like, once we come together in a space, our power together is off the charts. Like, we can bounce off of each other. We can look at each other and be like, okay, it's time for you to kind of step in. We just play off of each other, and it happens very naturally. And I think the first time we realized it was we did our in-person. I mean, we realized it, but like in person for the first time after COVID, we had this retreat in the North Georgia mountains. And we held space for these women, and it was a lot of heavy energy that I think when we first, I think after the first 20 minutes, Victoria and I looked at each other like, I mean, everybody was in tears. Everybody had shit going on, excuse my mouth. And I think in my spirit, I was like, oh crap, like, are we prepared for this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a degree. I mean, at this point, I'm like, I need a PhD in something, because it was that heavy. But we allowed spirit to come in and use us. And we were able to not only help these women heal, but they helped heal us as well. A lot of things came up for us, but we did this divine feminine healing where we're both certified in that. And when we called in that energy together, it was off the charts. I kid you not. And so we looked at each other afterwards like, oh crap, we did that. And did we do that? Because it, like, were we in control in that moment? And I think that now when you come into even our full moon circles, we play off of each other to the point where it's just like so divine and so meant to be. And so the nuances of the business are still there. Like, you're looking at your finances, who's doing this 1 week, most weeks Victoria's doing more than I am because I got a lot of crap going on in my life personally, but we play off of each other. We have tough conversations sometimes around the business, but we also know, I think we can always come back to the true purpose of why we're together and know that it's supposed to be, and that we're helping people and we're fulfilling a purpose that's so much bigger than the nuances of running a business. So that is my take on how we're doing it.
No, that was beautiful, Tiff. I think that's how we're able to lift each other up. Like, we are not afraid to call each other out in a nice way, of course. Like, even I was laughing because even this morning, Tiffany was like, oh, I had not been energetically doing X, Y, and Z. And she was like, thank you for reminding me. And then there are some days that I'm running around and I shoot off a text and Tiffany's like, girl, I know you didn't mean it that way, but this is how it came off to me. And I'm a little upset. And we know that we can always be honest with each other. I think if it ever gets to the point that we're not honest, then we've got bigger issues. But we came to the partnership saying we want to be open. We want to push each other. We want to communicate. And I think coming back to that higher purpose is what makes it possible, because any petty little thing between us seems so insignificant when it comes to the greater purpose of why we're here and how we can help women. And the fact that just sharing what we're sharing is helping someone somewhere. I think I come back to that a lot of, okay, maybe I don't have the energy today, but someone out there needs me, and not in a martyr or over giving way. I mean, Tiffany and I both actually still work our corporate jobs, which people think is crazy when they hear that. Spirit mamas will be full-time. We're manifesting it. But right now, it's our soul hustle, and we do have corporate jobs. And I think, we still don't know what we're doing, if I'm being really honest, but in launching in COVID, I'm laughing because I think about our website for the first year plus of business had no photos because Tiffany and I couldn't get together to take pictures. The one photo shoot we had, Tiffany came to my backyard because we do live in the same area in Atlanta, Georgia, but with a newborn, my husband was like very cautious and, with everything happening. So anyway, we met in my backyard. The photos were like 10 feet apart from each other. And I spliced them to look like we were sitting closer together, and like kind of just like put a filter on them and like some stars and stuff, and was like, oh, hopefully this will do. And that was all we had for a year and a half on the website, Tiff, until finally we were like, we need to go take pictures. Like we need to actually go do this, which of course now I want to update them again. But it just goes to show, I think, for anyone listening, like you can make it work. If you want to make it work, you can. And the only rules that apply are the ones that you make for yourself. So who cares if your website doesn't have images? Who cares if you don't feel ready? Who cares if society or someone else thinks that like this thing that you want to do is silly or not worth it or whatever they think? When there's a will, there's a way, and you can make it work. And we still are very virtual. I will say the retreats are kind of this magic in-person time for us, but we are branching out. We have an oracle card deck out that we're now finally kind of doing some physical in-person things in the community and partnering with local metaphysical shops and things like that. So I'm sure we'll do more in person, but I do love the beauty of virtual because then anyone can join us. And then there's a replay too, right? Because as busy moms, you can't always make the time that you want to, but if you're able to rewatch a circle during the time that you have, they're just as potent and just as powerful.
Yeah. Well, it feels to me like the moment you said the word spirit mamas, like I had chills all over my body. I think like what you're saying, Victoria, and what you're saying, Tiffany, like there's definitely some magic happening with you guys and between you guys and between the community you're serving. And it seems to me like you both are open to that being this like imperfect but divine journey.
I just got chills of my own because that's exactly what we want. Moms to show up perfectly imperfect is what we say. So I love that you like picked up on that.
Yeah. And that's so important to not expect, not whether you go into a healing business by yourself or with others, to not expect it to be perfect. And I love that you're highlighting that in your community too, which brings me to, okay, you two seem to me like you have a great relationship with social media and you have fun with it, which I know there are a lot of healers listening, and some of them have it incorporated. Some of them are like still are very off it. What is your relationship with social media? How do you see it, and how do you make it fun?
So I'm laughing because I feel like I'm the one that makes Tiffany do all of the things on social media that maybe push her out of her comfort zone. I love social media. I look at it, yes, as a business tool, but also as a tool of inspiration. And I will say, I very much have cleaned up my feed to make it high vibrational. So I'm not going to follow anyone that is going to make me feel bad about myself or is going to give me the comparison game. Like I very intentionally a couple years ago said, I'm not going to hate follow someone, that people do that sometimes. And I was like, no, I'm going to take anyone that doesn't make me feel good is not going to be in my feed. And I found that I have a lot of Gemini energy in my chart, and I'm a lot more creative than I thought I was. For years, I told myself I wasn't creative. And when I finally broke out of that story, I realized I really enjoy making these silly videos. Like, they're a time for me to let loose, connect. And the more creative I get, the more connected to myself and to source that I feel. And so that's how I approach our social media page. Is I don't post something if I feel like I have to. The energy has to feel good. So if it doesn't feel good to follow a certain schedule, I don't. I post when I want to. And Tiffany and I will plan like our rough schedule for the week, but it's not set in stone. Like, I may one day say, oh, this reel feels better, or hey, this graphic feels better, or this or that. And I feel like you have to make it work for you versus the other way around. And that may be counterintuitive to what a lot of the experts say. A lot of the experts say, like, batch your content and do it this way. But I feel like you, again, can feel the love and the vibration that's coming through. And so if I don't want to post that day, you're going to feel it. And, yes, sometimes I can get caught up in the, oh, how many views and how many likes do we have? Because naturally everyone wants to be liked. But I find that the better I am about posting it, interacting, and then like getting off, the better I feel. And I really try not to let myself get sucked into the vortex of like refreshing. But I also love it just for its natural connection. So I love commenting on other spiritual mom posts and things like that. So I spend part of the day not interacting to hopefully get us followers, but interacting because I genuinely want to connect. And I think that's really the importance when you approach social media, is if you're doing it for what am I going to get out of it? I feel like sometimes that's where the disappointment comes in. Whereas if you can approach it of, what can I give? What beauty can I share? What light can I provide? And okay, if it leads to more followers or leads to more whatever, great. That's a much healthier way to do it. I love our social tip. I don't know. What do you think? You always go along with my schemes, but
Yeah.
I know you don't love it as much as I do.
I have a love-hate relationship with social, and it's not because of Spirit Mamas. Spirit Mamas has actually allowed me to embrace social a little more. But the one part I do love is our silly reels. Like, if Victoria could call me over right now, and I would come and do a silly reel, because that's just who I am. But I think it's needed, right? Like, I think, and that's just my marketing brain, because that's what I do every day in my normal job. And so I know that we need social media. But I do love how Victoria has truly curated our page to make sure we are following the right people and the right people are following us, so that the energy stays consistent with what we're trying to put out there. So that's the part I love about it. But I also am so intentional with everything that I like. I strategically and intuitively think through life, which sometimes I need to flow a little more. But when it comes to social media, like if you were to go to my personal page, I only post once a month. You may get a random story from me. And so I have, like Victoria said, like I have to truly want to say something or have something purposeful to say, or it seems forced to me. So I think that's like my love and hate relationship with social media. I was just telling Victoria earlier on our business call, I'm like, I'm going to say something today because I've been getting all these downloads and I feel like I need to share on stories or something with our community. But I think it's needed, but it's also, you just want to make sure that you're attracting the right energy. And I think Victoria, because she literally runs our social page, like I think she's done a really good job about, just like reaching out to the right person or the right groups to kind of attract the energy that we want. And my favorite part about our social page is when we ask, like, how did the universe bring you to us? And to hear how some people like run across our page or hear about us is the part that really makes me understand that like we are touching people that we never would have without social. And so that makes it warms my heart. But I do have a love-hate relationship with social on a whole personal level. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you both. And there's definitely a lot of things that resonate. Like, I'm definitely more active when I'm intuitively guided. And it's come to the point where, similar to what you're saying, I am not necessarily trying to fit myself to that. It's more like, okay, here I am. These are the things I can do. And that takes a certain amount of energy. I mean, that takes a certain amount of psychic energy, spiritual energy, and like actual physical energy and mind power to say, I'm going to create this, even if it's 1 minute, to create a video, and then you have to edit it, you have to post it, the hashtags, blah, it's the thing. And you can get help, obviously. But for me, it's more, here I am, here's the amount of energy that I have. Where is it best spent today? And that's invariably
Amen.
going to be not on social media. Although there's another aspect I love, like this video, especially what I create through this podcast, Conversations with Healers, I put on YouTube. And YouTube to me is something that I'm leaving to my daughter and to my grandkids. So, and in my personal social media, I now only post things that I want to remember. I love that Facebook brings them up again and you're like, oh, this was what was happening like 8 years ago. So I'm more like similar to you, Victoria, definitely lots of editing going on in what I see, even like unintentionally. And then like you, Tiffany, definitely being mindful of the energy that it consumes, as well as the energy I bring to it. Okay. What I want to ask you is, you work with mothers predominantly, and you work with them one-on-one, and you work with them in groups, and your mothers. What's the one issue that you see the most often that you're like, I wish this was healed in the world and in moms? What's that one thing?
Oh, I wonder if we'll say the same thing, Tiff. I feel like it's worthiness. All the moms, and even in ourselves, I feel like we dampen our light. We don't let ourselves be seen as powerful because we've been told from a young age we're bossy, we're too much, we take up too much space. And it always comes back to a feeling of insecurity, and whether that's insecurity in yourself or insecurity in your home life or your surroundings. But we see a lot of moms with lower chakra issues, with root specifically, that of course feeds into the sacral and that kind of womb mothering energy, but all the way up to the solar plexus, and that, confidence and self-worth and stepping into their power. And if that could be healed and women could see what I see through my eyes of how amazing they are, we would never take no for an answer. Like, we would know that we are worthy of all of our dreams and our desires, and it would be no question. Tiffany and I create these amazing aura portraits as part of our Healing the Mother Wound series. We also do them as one-offs, but they are channeled sacred imagery of these women that we work with that, maybe it has animal totems or sacred geometry or whatever wants to come through. But to me, they're our way to reflect back to you your beauty, your strength, your higher self. And it continues to amaze me how touched these women are that they're seen by us. And it makes me wonder how often they feel seen in their daily lives by the people that they have around them, but also by themselves. And if we could magically heal that, oh my gosh, the world would be such a better place, I think.
I was going to agree. Like, I feel like it's the worthiness, like, and I find myself doing it all the time too. Like, well, maybe I shouldn't, or should I, you know what I mean? And so what I find is like reminding these moms of the confidence that they should have, that they've kind of put it's like they just dim their light, and it's like we just kind of remind them to let it shine bright. So yeah, I'm in total agreement, Victoria. The worthiness is definitely the number one thing that we see.
I love that. I think mine is I work with a lot of somatic guided imagery to find the inner child within. And one thing I see the most often is similar to what you're saying, but on a how it comes up in my work is people don't know or aren't able to go into their bodies. They're very cut off from the body. And the body to me is this, it's not just physical, it's like this beautiful magical cave that you go into to find answers, to find like little crystals everywhere, lights. So, and that's through trauma, right? That happens through trauma. We get numb, we get frozen, we get discomfort, and it can be really painful to look into the body. But I always say, like, if you are able to look, it's just so incredibly beautiful. Like, there's no way you wouldn't feel worthy if you're able to look within. I want to know what's next for you, both and together.
Oh, we have so many things. So together we are going to continue to just figure out how, so we will continue to do Healing the Mother Wound, which is a 4-week sacred container or circle that we hold. It's very intimate. We have no more than about 15 women. We just finished our 4th session a week ago. And it's all about the lower chakras and working up each week from the root up to the heart and tapping into our ancestors and healing ancestral trauma that we have as women, and we hold in the mother wound. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful container. And from there, we will be launching a second container that goes from the heart up to the crown. And we want that to start any day now. And I know, well, and I forget this is coming out in December. So by the time this comes out, we hopefully will have had, maybe the second round of healing of the sacred feminine, which is really us calling in the divine feminine, working with the power of the rose, and really just making sure that women and moms know how to truly like open up from the heart and just be beautiful and vibrant. And the goal really is for us to use both of these sacred containers to make sure that we're opening up all of our chakras and that we're being the best that we can be and vibrating at the right frequency. And so it's been beautiful to kind of put this together with Victoria and really come up with these 4 weeks in each that are very intentional and powerful, to say the least. Like each of the Healing the Mother Wound containers has been different with each group of women. And I feel like Victoria and I, we take something from each time that we do it, and we heal in a different way that we never would have thought we would have. Like when we first held it, I'm like, we're going to heal these women. And I'm sitting in there the first week crying like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. So it's just been beautiful. We will continue to have our in-person retreats. We hope to have another, maybe an international retreat coming up in the near future, hopefully in this next summer at some point, where maybe we go to, maybe I'm just gonna put out there, Costa Rica or somewhere. But we're hoping to continue to do that. We have our oracle cards that are out, and we are so excited. We really called in Spirit to help us really build these Spirit Mama's oracle deck that really, I think the beauty in it is it's so diverse with color. Like you see all types of women. You have all types of entities, from your African deities to Mother Mary, right? So like you are touching all types of women and all the energy of women, because at the end of the day, we're all one. And so we'll have our oracle cards out. And then individually, I don't know. I mean, I've been kind of leaning towards creating some type of affirmation journal that I've ran into somebody yesterday, and I'm hoping that I can talk to him about helping me do that. And then just continue to call in my soul clients. That's what I want to do. I want to help whoever I can with that. And then Victoria, I know you're working on a lot personally as well.
Yeah, I all of our Spirit Mamas containers make me so excited, and there's space for spirit to move us in whatever way. So who knows what we'll come up with next, but really excited about the retreats next year. And hopefully we'll be guest workshopping at others' retreats as well. So look out for that. Personally, I love going on journeys with women. So if you feel called to work with me one-on-one, it's a longer experience, about a 4-month container, but we go through the Akashic Records, we tap into our inner voice, we do some somatic work, breath work. It's really just like a magic mix of all the things that I use and love to do. But I'm also working on a book on my own called tentatively Finding Your Way Home. That's really about my journey, but also kind of a self-reflection and inspiration journal for men, women, and mamas everywhere. So that'll be out next year. And yeah, I don't know. I'm calling into this like magic mystery school priestess thing. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of older energy that's coming to light now. A lot of us that have spent many lifetimes together that are finally waking up. And I want to hold space for that and share that knowledge. So whether that's in a physical place or virtual, who knows? But this idea of kind of a temple keeps coming up to me, and that we're all priestesses that are coming together to learn from one another. So I don't know, throwing that in the universe. We'll see what that means.
Well, I don't know if that was intentional, but you're both wearing the same color, the color of maroon, which is like the Buddhist monk.
Definitely not intentional.
No.
And your background too, like kind of has a similar color. I love it.
I had to take the dog to the vet and I tossed on this shirt. So I'm very happy. But yeah.
A synchronicity, right? You never know. Well, you have a beautiful gift for our listeners. And where do they find you?
Yes, spiritmamas.com or on Instagram, spirit.mamas. We're offering all the listeners a free month of our Spirit Mamas membership. So you'll get an invite to a full moon circle. We have an amazing high vibe group chat. We do an additional exclusive energy healing or guest workshop for the group every month. And then you also have access to a digital course called Reclaim Your Magic, as well as our on-demand library of breathwork videos, meditations, sound healings, etc., that are all 15 minutes or less, so that you can access them anytime as a busy mom. And we would be just so honored to have any of you join the community. It's growing. We're small but mighty, but it's seriously my favorite.
Yeah. Well, what you're doing is near and dear to my heart. So thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for finding each other and supporting moms. This was an absolute joy. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Damla. This was beautiful.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Conversations with Healers. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please leave a review or comment, like or love it, and share it with others in your life. This is a true soul love project from my heart to yours. I really appreciate your help in spreading the word. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and check out other episodes to listen to some extraordinary healing stories and advice. Have a beautiful and wonderful day.